Okay, get this. What if a jury, 12 ordinary people, had a secret power? A power to look at a defendant, see that they're technically guilty, but still let them walk free, not because of the facts, but because they think the law itself is wrong. It's a real thing. It's called jury nullification, and it's one of the most fascinating and honestly controversial parts of our entire justice system. So let's dive in and figure out what it's all about.
All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with what this secret power even is. Then, we'll take a trip back in time to see how it shaped history. After that, we'll get into why it's such a legal gray area, how it's being used as a tool for resistance right now, and finally, we'll tackle the big debate that's still raging about it.
First up, the jury's secret power. I mean, think about it. Can a jury really judge the law itself? Can a handful of citizens just look at a law on the books and say, you know what, we're not doing that?
So let's really put ourselves in that jury box for a second. The evidence? It's crystal clear. The person on trial? Definitely, 100% broke the law. But what if you, as a juror, believe that law is just plain wrong, unjust, unfair, whatever? What do? Well, it turns out you can do something pretty powerful.
And that power has a name: jury nullification. It's basically the jury's right to acquit someone, to say not guilty, even if they know that person technically broke the law. Why? Because they've decided that the law itself, or maybe how it's being used in this specific case, is just unjust. It's this incredible check on government power, really. It lets everyday citizens bring their own conscience right into the heart of the courtroom.
Now, you might think this is some kind of new radical idea, but nope, not at all. This has been going on for a long, long time. In fact, citizens have used this exact power to challenge the status quo at some of the most critical moments in history.
I mean, look at this timeline. We're talking all the way back in 1735, when a colonial jury basically established freedom of the press by acquitting John Peter Zenger against the wishes of the British Crown. Then you jump to the 1850s, and you've got juries in the North just flat out refusing to convict people who were helping escaped slaves, completely nullifying the Fugitive Slave Act. Fast forward to the 1920s during Prohibition, juries everywhere were just letting people go for alcohol-related crimes. And of course, during the Civil Rights era in the 60s, it was a tool to protect activists protesting segregation. It's huge. And this quote about the Fugitive Slave Act really says it all, doesn't it? Jurors chose to acquit defendants who had aided escaped slaves. This wasn't just about one person on trial. These jurors were making a massive moral statement. They were actively resisting a law they found abhorrent, becoming a key part of the fight against slavery itself, right from the jury box.
Okay, so if this power is so important and has this incredible history, why have most of us never heard of it? I mean, why doesn't the judge just tell the jury, hey, by the way, you can do this? Well, that's because we're entering a really murky legal gray zone.
This is the central paradox right here. On one hand, you have the judge's instructions. They'll tell the jury very clearly, your job is to apply the law as it is written. Period. Your personal feelings don't matter. But on the other hand, you have the jury's inherent power. They can absolutely disregard that instruction, vote with their conscience, and face zero legal punishment for it. A not guilty verdict is final. It can't be appealed. So what's the catch? Well, nobody tells them. The system actively avoids informing jurors of this right, basically fearing it would open a Pandora's box and lead to legal chaos. The power's there, but it's kept under wraps.
So let's bring this into the present day, because this isn't just some dusty old concept from a history book. Jury nullification is absolutely relevant today, and it's being talked about and even used as a modern tool for resistance. And you see it popping up in some really specific areas. Think about nonviolent drug cases. Sometimes a jury looks at a mandatory minimum sentence and just says, nope, that's too harsh, and they'll acquit. Or what about political protests? You have activists on trial for civil disobedience, and the jury might actually agree with their cause. And it's a huge topic of conversation in cases involving police misconduct, where a not guilty verdict can feel like the community's way of sending a message about the system as a whole. And if you want to see just how powerful this can get when a whole community is on the same page, just look back at Prohibition. Juries were acquitting people in over 60% of cases. That's staggering. It wasn't just a few rogue juries. It was a massive nationwide rejection of the law. It basically made Prohibition unenforceable and played a huge role in getting it repealed. That's what happens when the people's conscience takes over.
But of course, it's not that simple. This whole idea is super controversial. And that brings us to the big, ongoing debate. Is this a powerful tool for justice, or is it a serious threat to the rule of law itself? Let's look at the arguments.
On the one hand, the folks who support it say it's the ultimate safeguard against bad laws and government power. It lets the community's moral compass into the courtroom, empowers citizens, and acts as a form of peaceful protest. But on the other side, the arguments against it are pretty serious too. Critics say it can totally undermine the rule of law. I mean, you could have two people commit the exact same crime in two different towns and get completely different verdicts. There's also the very real fear that a jury could acquit someone based on their own prejudices, not on justice. It really challenges that core idea that the law should apply equally to everyone.
When you strip it all away, that's what this is all about. It's this fundamental tension, this constant tug of war between the letter of the law, what's written down in black and white, and the spirit of justice, which is all about what we feel is right.
So it really leaves us with this huge question. What is justice really? Is it just a matter of following the law, no matter what? Or is it a matter of conscience? If you were in that jury box, what would you choose? It's something to think about, because it's a question any one of us could be faced with.